Check, check, 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. Hey, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2. Testing, check, check, testing, 1, 2. Testing, check, check, testing.
Check one, check one, two, check, check, check one, two, check one, two. Check, check one.
Check, check, check. Testing one, testing two. Got it. Thank you. One, mic check two. Check one, check two. Good, good, good. Mic check, mic check.
Test. Hello.
Yeah, there it is. You can hear it? Yes, I did.
All right, good evening, folks. We're going to get started. If the last few folks could grab their seats. Plenty in the front row, as always. You're welcome to sit anywhere you'd like. All right, well, good evening. I'm Bill Cutler, VDOT's Northern Virginia District Engineer. Welcome to our facility here in Northern Virginia. Thanks for joining us tonight for the 2024 Transportation Joint Meeting. This meeting is being conducted in person and streamed online. Per the Code of Virginia, we are to conduct a joint public meeting annually for the purposes of presenting to the public and receiving comments on the transportation initiatives conducted by each entity in Planning District 8, which is Northern Virginia. This is to include the Commonwealth Transportation Board, or the CTB, both VDOT and DRPT, the Department of Rail and Public Transportation, NVTA, the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority, NVTC, the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission, the Virginia Railroad Express, or VRE, and the Capital Region Transportation Planning Board, the TPB. The open house held earlier, moments ago, in the hallway, which we saw a lot of great conversations happening. It has information on the various transportation initiatives of each of these agencies, including the Commonwealth Smart Scale process and Round 6 applications, VDOT's strategically targeted affordable roadway solutions, or STARS studies, the Regional Multimodal Mobility Plan, or RM3P, NVTA's multimodal transportation investments, NVTC's commuter choice and Envision Route 7 programs, DRPT's funding opportunities and 6-year improvement program, VRE capital project updates, and TPB's ongoing update to the region's long-range transportation plan known as Visualize 2050. These materials are also uploaded in the meeting website and are available at VDOT's website / Nova Transportation Meeting. If you need any help accessing that, please ask our team out in the hallway. We'd be glad to help you with that. I want to take a quick moment just to recognize some elected officials that are with us tonight. We'll be hearing from a few of them a little bit later. But from the Senate Transportation Committee, Senator Jennifer Boysko. Thank you. From the Virginia House of Delegates, Delegate Carrie Delaney. From the Prince William County Board of Supervisors, Margaret Franklin. And also from the Prince William County Supervisors, Victor Angry. From the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors, Mike Turner. From the Arlington County Board of Supervisors, Matt DeFerrante. The Mayor of the City of Fairfax, Catherine Reed. From Senator Salim's office, Liam Fisher. From Delegate Atusa Reeser's office, Charlie Connors. And from Prince William County Board of Supervisors Chair DeShandra Jefferson's office, Allison Greenday. So we're hosting a party and people showed up, which we're very excited about. I'm very excited about. As the meeting proceeds, residents can provide comments during this meeting. We have a court reporter here as well. The comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Our panel will not answer questions, but is here to hear what you have to say. And staff are in the hallway and are available to address questions further. Or you may submit your written comments through December 31st of this year by emailing to our email address, which I believe is available out in the hallway. I won't read that. Or by mailing it here to this wonderful building, 4975 Alliance Drive. Please reference Northern Virginia Joint Transportation Meeting to ensure your comments get to the right hands. Now, with me, we have a distinguished panel representing the transportation agencies that I have already described, and we'll hear from them in a moment as well. But to quickly go through our list of panel members, NVTA's Chief Executive Officer, Monica Backman. A CTB representative and the new director of DRPT, Tiffany Robinson. The chair of Stafford County Board of Supervisors, but here in her capacity as VRE chair, Meg Bomke. The NVTC Executive Director, Kate Mattice. And with the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors and TPB Vice Chair, that's the Transportation Planning Board Vice Chair, James Walkinshaw. At this point, I'd like to have each of our panel members have an opportunity to say a few remarks. So we'll start with Monica Backman.
Good evening, and thank you, Bill. So again, I'm Monica Backman, the Chief Executive Officer of the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority. For those of you who are unaware, we are the regional planning and programming entity for Northern Virginia. We fund multimodal transportation projects in Northern Virginia. The law requires that every project we fund with 70%, because the law splits the funding into 2 categories, 70% to the authority to fund regional transportation projects that are located in our long-range transportation plan transaction. 30% goes back to the localities where the taxes and fees are raised. So our most current transaction plan was adopted in December of 2022. We have 424 projects in that plan. The total cost to implement that plan, $75 billion. We do not have $75 billion, so I will just put that out there. But one of the things this current transaction does, it provided for a regional bus rapid transit system. So we are currently undertaking a study, we call it the Preliminary Deployment Plan for Regional Bus Rapid Transit System, where we're looking at gaps in where the BRT lines or plan lines are in Northern Virginia, but then how we can connect to Montgomery County, the district, and other BRT networks. So we have a BRT working group. The working group is comprised of COG areas as well, because we know that people from Northern Virginia travel outside of Northern Virginia and vice versa. So we want to make sure we have a seamless BRT network. Getting to the funding, we adopt our 6-year program every 2 years. In July of this year, we adopted our 7th funding program. So to date, we have adopted 139 projects totaling $3.8 billion. The last funding program we adopted in July, it had 24 projects at $700 million. So what that means is, with this $3.8 billion, 139 projects, not only does it have an impact on your commute and the choices you make and the choices that you have, but there is an economic impact as well. With every funding program we do an economic impact analysis. So with all of our combined funding of the 139 projects, $3.8 billion. And I have to note, we did distribute last September, October, we celebrated distributing $1 billion to the localities and 30% revenues for their transportation initiatives. So if we put that together, $4.8 billion, what does that mean for the region? Well, by 2040, that means 43,000 new jobs. And these are jobs that stay right in the region. These aren't the jobs that come forth and then they're done, the infrastructure has been built and they leave. These are jobs that stay right here in the region. Additionally, it means 500 million hours of travel time saved. 500 million hours that you can do something else, that you're not worrying about traveling to and fro. And lastly, it provides $8 billion in monetary savings. So spending your money on other things and commuting back and forth. The last thing I want to add, because I get asked this a lot, do we invest in Metro? Yes, we do invest in Metro. Now, the authority with the 70%, we can only fund capital projects, but we have a lot of investments in Metro, including Innovation Station, Potomac Yard, Blue and Orange Line, traction power upgrades, and some of the Boston and Crystal City Metro rail stations. So we are truly multimodal. And to close, because I don't know if I'm hitting my 3 minutes, Bill's giving me the eye. We do a lot with our partners. And one of the initiatives that we have currently with our regional partners is the Regional Multimodal Mobility Program. And I try to say that slowly because it is a tongue twister for me. And RM3P is really a technology initiative that we, the authority, is doing in conjunction with VDOT and the Department of Rail and Public Transportation. And I think we've expanded out to Fredericksburg and Spotsy a little bit. But it's going to provide travelers and commuters some options and some system operators with some options and some tools as well. The 4 things that we are looking at: optimizing the system performance, improving travel time, support on-demand multimodal trips, and we're going to do that through some AI. So again, thank you. Happy to be here this evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Monica. We appreciate the partnership with NVTA. Now let's hear from Tiffany Robinson, the DRPT Director.
Thank you, Bill. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Tiffany Robinson, and it has been an honor to serve as the new director for the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation for the past 3 weeks. And with all the great work underway, I'm really excited and energized for the months to come. I also have the privilege tonight of representing the Commonwealth Transportation Board. So thank you for having me on both accounts. I'm going to speak a little bit specifically about our work at DRPT just for a moment. As you all may know, DRPT's mission is to connect and improve the quality of life for all Virginians with innovative transportation solutions. We support public transit, commuter assistance programs, freight rail operators, passenger rail expansion and planning, local and regional transportation planning organizations, and paratransit and human service providers. We know we're creating a positive impact across the Commonwealth because in calendar year 2024, DRPT, along with its public transportation partners, is on pace to provide over 135 million public transit trips. And in 2023, DRPT and its rail partners diverted over 15 million truckloads from Virginia's highways through our rail programs. Our commitment to these initiatives and providers is demonstrated in our fiscal year 2025 6-year improvement plan, which we call the SIP. Statewide, the FY 2025 SIP allocates $6.2 billion in rail and public transportation funding over the next 6 years. And in Northern Virginia alone, The SIP allocates $560 million in total state funds for public transportation, which includes $54 million in state operating assistance, $34 million in state capital assistance, $484 million in state funds for WMATA, $16 million in state funds for VRE operating and capital, $9 million in state transit ridership incentive funds, and nearly $2 million in commuter operating and capital funds. Our partner, VPRA's Transforming Rail in Virginia, also has major projects in Northern Virginia, of course, including Long Bridge and the Franconia-Springfield bypass. This fall marked the groundbreaking of our Long Bridge project, a critical step towards increasing rail traffic capacity and reducing congestion with the creation of a 4-track corridor. The current Long Bridge operates at 98% capacity during peak hours. So once this project is complete, the corridor will be able to support the additional VRE and Amtrak service that is needed. So we're really excited about that. And finally, some of the most important information for tonight is to make sure that all of our partners know that DRPT's grant application round opened yesterday, December 1st. And we're now accepting applications through February 1st, 2025 for funding through our fiscal year 2026 6-year improvement plan. Our vision at DRPT is an integrated multimodal network that serves every person, every business, and every need. And we believe our SIP takes us one step closer to reaching that vision. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the partnership with DRPT. Now let's hear from the Virginia Railway Express Chair, Meg Bumpke.
All right. Good evening. Thank you very much for having us this evening. Mr. Cutler, I appreciate being here to represent VRE as the chair of the operations board. We have had a very exciting year. We have celebrated various capital project milestones with ribbon cuttings, a topping out, and groundbreakings. And as we look at 2025 and beyond, there are roughly 24 projects in our $1.3 billion capital improvement program that will enhance passenger safety, comfort, and convenience. Before I share specifics on several projects, I do want to acknowledge our funding partners in the Commonwealth, VPRA, DRPT, NVTA, NVTC, and of course PRTC. And their support has been key to our ability to move our projects forward. The last several months have featured a whirlwind of celebrations. In May was the cut on a $14 million rehabilitation of our Fredericksburg VRE station, which received an award from the historic Fredericksburg Foundation. If you haven't been down to Fredericksburg, we would love to have you come visit. Just last month, we cut the ribbon on $27 million in improvements to the Quantico station, a project that brought together diverse stakeholders, including the Marine Corps Base Quantico, the town of Quantico, CSX Transportation, Amtrak, to just name a few. In August, we held a topping out ceremony for the Manassas Park parking garage. This $35 million garage is an integral part of the City Center Redevelopment District, a proposed transit-accessible, high-density, mixed-use town center for Manassas Park. As a funding partner in the construction of a second rail crossing over the Potomac River, VRE's CEO joined a host of dignitaries for an October groundbreaking ceremony that Ms. Robinson just mentioned a minute ago. Come 2030, this $2.3 billion project will relieve one of the largest rail traffic bottlenecks on the East Coast, and we are all very excited about that project. Last month's groundbreaking for a new VRE station at Potomac Shores also marked the completion of a parking garage there. The privately funded station is expected to be complete by 2026. 2025 looks equally as busy as 24. We cut the ribbon on the Manassas Park parking garage and held groundbreaking ceremonies at VRE's Alexandria and Franconia Springfield stations. Construction of VRE's Alexandria Station Improvements Project, which has been consolidated with the VPRA's King and Commonwealth Bridge Replacement Project, will launch in early 2025. VRE will take the lead on construction of this unified project. Also ready to head into construction is VRE's Franconia Springfield Station Improvement Project. The project is being coordinated with VPRA, which is adding a third mainline track there to reduce congestion along one of the most heavily traveled parts of the rail corridor. With the funding gap now closed, VRE's replacement station in Crystal City is rapidly moving forward. The station design leaves open the option for a proposed pedestrian bicycle connection between the station and Ronald Reagan Washington Airport, and a high-level platform for use by Amtrak trains. While these capital projects are instrumental to VRE's ability to move from a commuter rail service to a regional rail provider, there are many other policy, funding, and legislative issues that play into this. I would invite you to join the VRE Operations Board on YouTube, and that would be the third Friday of each month if you would like to stay up to date on what's happening. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Meg. Now let's hear from NVTC Executive Director Kate Mattice.
Hope this works. Good evening, and thank you so much. Again, Kate Mattice. I'm the Executive Director of the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission. I'm actually joined here by my chair, Matt DiFrenti, and actually a number of current and former members of NVTC I see are in the room. So this year, NVTC is celebrating 60 years, and that's really 60 years of leadership, all starting with a foundation of Metro. And we continue to play a big, strong role. I'll talk a little bit later about our role with Metro, but we really want to make sure that the WMATA system is working for all of us. Now, it's that 60 years, starting things off with Metro, but really along the way, we had obviously the opportunity to launch, and we continue to be the co-owners of the VRE. And it's so wonderful to see the chair and the former chair of the VRE Operations Board sitting right here. And then finally, sort of through the decades, we've also been here to support our local bus systems and really help them innovate, collaborate, and effectively work together to build the network that we have. And this is a network, and I was actually just looking at the latest ridership numbers. The network of public transit in Northern Virginia is moving 2 million people every week. And that is ridership that keeps growing over and over and over. Almost all of our bus systems right now have stronger ridership now than they did in 2019. And I think that's something to definitely recognize as we talk about how things are happening. But tonight, I just want to focus on two of our major regional efforts that we're involved in. And thank you, Bill, for highlighting those a little bit earlier. One of them is our Envision Route 7 project, where we're really working across Northern Virginia to make an important Metro bus route. It's the 28A, even stronger as it moves people across from Route 7 from Tysons to Alexandria. Metrobus 28A, it's a cross-regional bus route, and it's run by the Metro. It's run by WMATA, and it has incredibly surging ridership. It actually has the highest Metro bus ridership of any route in Virginia. It's moving 54,000 riders every week, and it is blowing out of the water pre-pandemic numbers. And so there's really two parts to this. We have been looking, and the region's been looking at bus rapid transit along this for several years, and we're continuing our planning efforts for this. And that's going to be kicking off in 2025, and we're going to be closely working with the communities along Route 7 from Falls Church down through Seven Corners, Bailey's Crossroads, and into Mark Center and Southern Towers to really learn and share with that community what a bus rapid transit would look like. But in the meantime, we're actually not stopping the improvements. And I think this is really what a wonderful opportunity. We're actually working with Fairfax, Falls Church, Arlington, and Alexandria to implement new technologies, things like transit signal priority and other things that can actually help move the buses faster, providing better bus now. So it's not just about waiting for a major improvement that may happen in the coming years, but it's actually providing better Metro bus and better bus service for those who live in that corridor right now. So we're also proud to manage another regional project, and that's the reinvestment of toll revenues from I-66 inside the Beltway, as well as 395 and 95 express lanes through our Commuter Choice program. To date, we've provided more than 7 million trips along the 66 and 395, 95 corridors by doing things like funding bus routes as far away as Haymarket and Stafford, making better connections for everybody, not just bus, to metro stations, and provided much needed funding for park and ride lots to allow for things like carpool, vanpool, as well as buses that are serving there. These options are making traveling these corridors more affordable and more reliable for more people. Right now, we have the call for projects out for the, and I'm going to look and remind myself, I think it's the 395 corridor, and all of a sudden my brain went blank on that. Yes, I get a head nod. Thank you. It's always, we're either planning for the next year or implementing the current year. So, but the 395-95 corridor call for projects is open right now. So we hope to look forward to project selection in the beginning of the calendar year with a lot of public comment available. Once those projects come in, we evaluate for them. And as I mentioned earlier, each week more than 2 million riders take public transit right here in Northern Virginia. And it's really a remarkable level of riders that are choosing buses, rail, and metro. Yes, for work, but for school, shopping, visiting friends, getting to doctor's appointments, etc. And that network of public transit means that we here in Northern Virginia can move more people because they can get on those buses, they can get on those trains. And what that means is that our economy can support more jobs and more households, and that has an economic impact. And so what it is, it's actually providing more than $1.5 billion a year in sales and income tax revenue that's distributed throughout the entire Commonwealth of Virginia. So the fact that we can move more people because we have this robust transit network is really a key part of an economic engine that's helping the rest of the Commonwealth of Virginia. However, the challenge right now is that the cost of building and operating public transit is facing the exact same economic and inflationary challenges that our household wallets are as well. And so that's why NVTC and our jurisdictions are at the table for two major efforts that are going on right now, with DC and Maryland through the DMV Moves effort, and as well at the table with our own Virginia state legislatures through their SJ28 subcommittee. And I'm proud to see we have 2 members sitting here in the audience of that. Collectively, we need to figure out how we can ensure long-term financial sustainability for our transit system so we can meet the needs of those 2 million people moving every week, as well as then the growing populations in the future. So again, I'll go back to that $1.5 billion in state revenue number that I mentioned earlier. The transit network that we have is an anchor to our economy and the quality of life. It's providing access to opportunities, reducing congestion, and improving the quality of life for businesses, for people who living here in Northern Virginia. And so it really is what's making possible for our region to move. So at NVTC, we look forward to the efforts of DMV Moves and SJ28 in the new year to tackle this difficult issue that's facing all of our buses, our commuter rail, and our metro. We at NVTC have 60 years of building the strong transit network, and I know we can continue to work together to see its strength continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kate. And again, we appreciate the partnership with NVTC. Now let's hear from the Transportation Planning Board Vice Chair, James Walkinshaw.
Thank you, Bill. It's great to be here. As you can hear, I'm getting over a little bit of a cold. I wore my mask today because I think if I infected these 5 people up here, the region would grind to a halt. The stoplights would blink red. And I labored under the illusion for most of my life that I had a robust immune system. Turns out I didn't have a 4-year-old coughing directly into my face. Not so much anymore, but it's great to be here, represent TPB. Thank you all for coming. TPB is the region's federal metropolitan planning organization, and we are responsible for implementing the federally mandated transportation planning process across our region. We collect demographic and land use data to help inform jurisdictions across the region and their transportation planning. We administer a number of really important and powerful grant programs. We set regional targets for traffic safety and transit performance. Most recently, we hosted a very successful roadway safety summit in Alexandria, where we discussed the increase in traffic and pedestrian fatalities in our region and developed a set of strategies for the region to address those safety issues. We work to ensure that our transportation planning processes align with our region's broader goals, especially as it relates to climate change and addressing our greenhouse gas emissions. But our most important responsibility is the creation of the region's long-range transportation plan, the region's constrained long-range plan. And in the Visualize 2050 process that we are currently developing, we started in February of 2023, and we're working toward adoption in December of 2025. We did something new. We used a zero-based budgeting process, which meant that each jurisdiction, rather than resubmitting the transportation projects that they perhaps might have submitted year after year after year, we asked every jurisdiction to start from scratch and take a fresh look at each of those projects. And I can just say from the Fairfax County perspective, that was a very powerful process for us because it forced us to reconcile our current goals, plans, strategies with transportation projects that in some cases had been on the books for decades. Just to give a couple of examples, in the Braddock District that I represent, there had been a plan for many, many years to extend Guinea Road, which would have meant extending a road through a mature forest right behind the fence lines of a neighborhood. Transportation project that really wasn't necessary, and I was reasonably confident wouldn't happen even if the funding existed. We didn't submit that project for Visualize 2050. A section of Route 29 just east of the city of Fairfax that for many years, possibly for decades, we had planned to widen as we historically had. We changed that plan, that project, from a widening project to a multimodal improvement project to improve traffic flow, pedestrian and bicycle safety, which is more in alignment with our current goals around climate, around land use planning, and around multimodal transportation. And jurisdictions across the region work similarly to develop their project submissions for Visualize 2050. So we are working towards adoption in December of 2025. We have had several public comment periods in 2023 and 2024. We will have additional opportunities for public comment before the Transportation Planning Board adopts the plan in December. And we're looking forward to it. So thank you all so much for coming out tonight. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you so much, James, and thank you again to all the panel members. As you can see, there's an interdependency and a collaborative effort amongst us all to help move Northern Virginia towards its future. Here at VDOT, Northern Virginia District, our boundaries coincide with Planning District 8, which includes the 3 most populated counties in Virginia, Fairfax, Loudoun, and Prince William, as well as the 6th most populated, Arlington County. We're very proud to serve those counties as well as the towns and cities within. We are home to almost 30% of the state's population. We are home to almost 40% of all the jobs in Virginia, and we are home to an economy that produces 50% of the state revenues. So we're very proud to serve that. The VDOT employees here in Northern Virginia, whether it's planning, design, construction, maintenance, or operations. We have over 14,000 lane miles, almost 2,500 bridges and culverts, 1,500 traffic signals representing 50% of the signals that VDOT operates in the entire state. Since 2009, VDOT has built nearly 330 miles of bike lanes and shared use paths, and we've improved over 120 signalized and unsignalized pedestrian crossings. This past fiscal year, 92% of NOVA District's construction projects finished on time or ahead of time. That includes the impressive Route 7 widening project between Reston and Tysons, which includes 14 miles of bike lanes. This also includes a Boundary Channel Drive interchange in Arlington County near the Aquatic Center and the Pentagon, and many other projects. We also rehabbed a parking garage over I-66 in Arlington near Washington and Liberty High School. And we've paved over 1,000 lane miles in this past year in busy Northern Virginia. Last month, with our private sector partners, we are proud to have opened the Opitz Boulevard ramp that helps serve the 95 express lanes. We continue to work on the 495 Next project up towards the direction of Montgomery County, Maryland. That will be finished about a year from now. And we're also studying the expansion possible expansion of the express lanes on 495 between the Springfield interchange, possibly across the Wilson Bridge into Prince George's County, adding to what we believe is the most sophisticated managed lane network in the world. That currently conveys 2,600 free bus trips a day and 18,000 free HOV trips a day. And knowing it's HOV3, that's at least 54,000 people a day using reliable lanes on those express lanes on the metro system. So with that, again, I want to thank our panel members. We are here to listen to you the rest of our meeting. And first, I would like to recognize again and hear speak some important elected officials that have chosen to speak today. Our first up is from the Senate Transportation Committee, Chair Senator Jennifer Boysko. Senator Boysko, and if you want to go right over there, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Bill, and all of you who do this work every single day for us to help our economy and our community thrive and be the place that we've all chosen to make our home. I represent the 38th Senate District, which is in northern Fairfax County, and am honored to serve on some of these committees that you all are talking about. But what I want really to focus on is the individuals who do the work every day, who are in the streets, doing the engineering, making sure that we are as safe as possible and that the trains keep running and the buses keep running, because quite often we get tied up talking about all of the numbers and we forget about the people who are doing that work for us. And so I wanted to say thank you to them. Many of you, I think, work for VDOT and in that space, but also to, the challenges that we face. And as someone who's on the SJ 28 committee, we are working on finding reliable funding mechanisms for the in perpetuity for the transit system, and making sure that we remember our people who were behind the scenes doing all that work, I think is just so important. But just appreciate you all, appreciate the folks who do the work every day and the other elected officials who help make it happen and keep it funded. So thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you so much, Senator Boysko, and for your support. Next, let's hear from the Chair of the House Transportation Committee, Delegate Carrie Delaney.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you all so much for inviting us to join tonight. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to better inform us, both elected officials and everyone here in the room. I'm interested to hear kind of the dialogue as it goes on tonight. So I'm Carrie Delaney. I represent the 9th District, which is parts of Western Fairfax, Chantilly, Centerville area. And I was elected in 2017. I've been on the Transportation Committee my entire time in Richmond, but this past session was my first year chairing the committee. So we are gearing up to go back to the next legislative session in January. And I just really want to express my gratitude to each of you for your expertise that helps guide that discussion. Having conversations about transportation around Virginia, I always say, well, I say this because someone said it to me. I can't take credit for it, but it is a committee when we deal with transportation that is political, but it's not partisan. And when that was told to me, that really kind of resonated, that we do get into a lot of issues where we disagree on things, but it has much more to do with regional politics than it does partisan politics, which I find a really interesting space to be when we're working with our colleagues from all over Virginia. And so to be able to bring the perspective of Northern Virginia to a statewide discussion about the importance of transportation, the importance of our infrastructure, the importance of multimodal solutions, because as many of you have highlighted your individual areas, we have to remember that when someone chooses to use one of these modes of transportation, that means they're choosing to not use another mode of transportation. And the more variety that we have to kind of spread our commuters and our travelers across a variety of modes really serves everyone. So even if you're someone who will get in your car and you will drive to your workplace every single day. There's no way we'd get you on a train, no way we'd get you on a bus, no way you'd get in an HOV lane or pay a toll. Those drivers will still benefit from the use of these other options when they are available to other members of the community. It really helps, serve everyone and relieve congestion. The importance of also understanding a strong transportation infrastructure for our regional economy and how that regional economy impacts the rest of the state is also a really important conversation that we continue to have in Richmond. But again, as we consider policy decisions and funding decisions going into this next legislative session and beyond, counting on each of your individual perspectives, expertise, those of you in the room here tonight to leave your comments and to make your comments and to ask questions, knowing that, we need to hear from everyone who has a stake in this to understand the real life implications of some of the decisions we're making in Richmond are incredibly important. So it's great to be with you all tonight. Thank you so much for doing this, and thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Delegate Delaney. Next, let's hear from Prince William County Supervisor Margaret Franklin.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to discuss important transit issues here in the region. Prince William County appreciates this opportunity to provide comments on projects and programs in Northern Virginia that are critical to advancing shared state, regional, and local goals of providing safe, reliable, multimodal networks. Congestion has not only returned to Northern Virginia, but in many cases has exceeded pre-pandemic volumes. And this challenge is compounded by troubling upward trends in serious roadway injuries and fatalities. Slow ridership returns on commuter bus and rail, and increased variability in peak travel days and time periods. Addressing these mobility challenges will require a data-driven, strategic, coordinated regional approach, and Prince William County looks forward to continuing to work with all elected officials here regionally, the community, and our professional colleagues on innovative solutions. These comments that we are submitting are intended to provide constructive feedback on specific projects and programs as part of a larger ongoing dialogue and collaboration on improving transportation in Northern Virginia. So thank you again for the opportunity. Prince William County continues to look forward to working with our regional partners, both in Fairfax and Loudoun, Arlington, and also our transportation authority. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Franklin. Also from Prince William County, let's hear from Supervisor Victor Angry. Oh. Oh. I'm okay with it. Thank you. This is great. I'm the cheerleading section. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, Supervisor Angry. Yes. Well, thank him for not speaking tonight. No, I'm just kidding. I did skip over one bullet. My staff would also in VDOT, we operate 26 park and ride lots here in Northern Virginia, which includes over 14,000 spaces. So again, that multimodal focus, VDOT with all of the wonderful agencies up here today is focused on multiple modes of transportation, giving people choices in their mobility decisions. So now we're going to move to the citizen comment period. Just a reminder, we have, you can stand over here or sit over here with the microphone. We have a 3-minute timer and a wonderful timekeeper over there. I've asked her to turn the buzzer off, but if it goes for a little too long, we might make buzzing noises ourselves. So with that, but we're here to listen to your comments. We're not responding to questions tonight, although we can do that out in the hallway. So first, from Alexandria, Bill Rossello. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us. So good evening. My name is Bill Rossello. I'm president of Seminary Hill Association in the city of Alexandria. I'm here to speak on behalf of the overwhelming majority of our residents who oppose the proposed King Street Bradley project, which sits within our association boundaries. In June, we submitted a letter to the city along with Northridge Citizens Association, stating our opposition to key features of the project. Together, the two organizations represent about 5,000 households, most of the ones within immediate proximity to Bradley Shopping Center in our city. The signatories also included the Homeowners Association of Fairlington Town, community of 300 townhouses that borders Bradley on King Street immediately to the west. Bottom line, there is no community groundswell of support for this project. At best, this should be a stormwater project, as drainage is a recognized issue in central Alexandria. The fact is that our residents don't understand why the city would want to change the current design, particularly the access road that has kept traffic moving well for decades. While we are big proponents of safety, the city's own data show that that stretch of King Street and the access road are already among the safest heavily traveled roads in Alexandria. Our residents generally oppose two features, in particular, in the proposed design. The project would add bike lanes in front of the center's 4 exits, yet we already have a well-connected, well-marked, and safe, but lightly used, city bike route directly behind Bradley Shopping Center on West Braddock Road. The second is the access road. Key to residents' that would reduce drivers' eastbound options from 4 exits to just 2. And this change promises to tie up traffic in what is already a very busy and very tight parking lot. And our residents living to the west will no longer have the easy access to Bradley or to the Safeway just east of it that the side road has provided for decades. They would have to go out to Main King Street, requiring them to sit at 3 additional my electric personality. So for the 99+% of our residents who only drive to Bradley, we recommend that you use our state tax dollars for another Northern Virginia project that would truly have a positive impact on a community. This project certainly would not do that. So again, thank you so much for allowing us to speak tonight and holding this forum. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Next up from Alexandria, we'll hear from Roy Bird, followed by Frank Putsu. Roy?
So thank you for this opportunity. Yes, I'm Roy Bird, and with respect to being transparent, I'm also chair of a coalition for Livable Alexandria, which is a 501c4 organization dedicated to promoting the full and open dissemination of all perspectives on major issues affecting the welfare of Alexandria residents. We are going to be submitting a separate letter regarding this subject on this grant application for King Street. However, this evening I'm only speaking solely as a resident and on my own behalf. So definitely the city should explore grant opportunities to alleviate the tax burden these projects impose on residents. But it's also important to ensure that when tax dollars are allocated, they provide maximum public benefit. And regrettably, and it pains me because I want the money, I want us to get the money from the state, this application I think falls short. I say this applying my understanding of VDOT's criteria regarding safety, congestion, and accessibility. So if we look at it from a cost-benefit analysis, you know, what is the problem here that the city alleges this grant will fix? An assessment of the VDOT crash map shows most crashes occur at the King Quaker Braddock intersection, followed by North Quaker Lane, not the section of King Street the grant will reconfigure. Moreover, it will increase congestion and exacerbate the issues at that intersection. It denies access for residents, the access residents currently enjoy, as Bill alluded to, and it restricts ingress and egress to the merchants and patrons of the shopping center. So the primary benefit of this proposal is obviously to bicyclists and to buses, And while I'm sympathetic to both groups, it's important to consider that the current bike lanes are underutilized. Additionally, in Alexandria, cyclists are currently able to use Braddock Road, which is just behind and parallel to King. And that provides a safe alternative to riding on the streets. If there were no limitations on funding, then by all means this would be great. But I think we have to prioritize how we spend our tax dollars. Even if these enhancements were to encourage more individuals to cycle along this segment, there's no evidence to support a significant increase in utilization. Regarding the promotion of bus travel over car usage, the buses are already able to transit this corridor, and within Alexandria, the bus system is already free of charge to all riders. And despite this, there hasn't been a substantial change in transit behavior among residents. So these limited benefits just make it hard as a state resident, as well as an Alexandria resident, to justify expenditure of the magnitude of state grant money. So again, it pains me to have to say that, but I think you have to look at being good stewards of the state's tax dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you. Now from Alexandria, Frank Putsu, followed by Alan Munchnick.
First, before I begin, thank you for pronouncing my last name absolutely correctly on the first time. It doesn't happen, so thank you. I'm Frank Putzo. I'm a resident of Alexandria. You may be shocked to hear that I'm speaking on the King Street Bradley changes. I understand that it's currently being evaluated and scored for the Smart Scale grant, and for the reasons we'll give, and you'll hear tonight, we encourage you either to deny the application or return it for further public engagement and technical analysis. First, I do want to thank the VDOT staff for their responsiveness and professionalism. We are here tonight because flaws we raised during the process were not considered seriously, and appeal to you to look into these issues. In short, granting $20 million in taxpayer funds for this project on the current record is ill-advised and be better spent on other projects in the region and Commonwealth. Second, public engagement on this has been checkered. Going back to the original application for this stretch in FY22, then asking for $40 million, Alexandria withdrew that. More broadly, Alexandria has never held a public hearing on this application specifically before City Council. Please note, the application itself was never part of any docket and is publicly unavailable. We did request a copy of the application in anticipation of tonight last week to see what it was that's being proposed. We're trying to figure that out. I will submit to the staff, Mr. Ha, who's awesome, by the way, what was represented to be the application. If that's correct, there's no basis for awarding a grant. The application says nothing. As you've heard tonight, public support is weak. Specifically, the city stated in a June 2024 memo that it had conducted a comprehensive survey on a 5-point scale, 1 being dislike, 5 being like. The alternative in the grant scored a 2.8, meaning the majority of the public dislikes the alternative at issue, according to the city's own record. Please pause before granting up to $20 million on a project the majority does not want nor need. With respect to safety, to be blunt, there is no safety issue on this stretch of King Street. According to the Alexandria Crash Database, in the last 5 years, the technical criteria for the grant, there have been 0 fatalities or serious injuries, 4 non-serious injuries, and 6 PDOs. That comes out to about 2 minor accidents per year. The VDOT Crash Database is consistent with these numbers. As well, VDOT records show that the AADT for this stretch of road is between 16,000 and 33,000 AADT. That equates to about 0.44 crashes per million VMT. Northern Virginia as a region is 1.41 million, so this stretch is way below the regional average, about 1/3. So safety is not an issue at all. You'll hear from other Alexandrians showing the shortcoming in other criteria than safety, and also requesting the grant be denied or returned for meaningful public dialogue and technical analysis. Thank you for this opportunity and giving us a fair and respectful forum. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank. Next, we'll hear from Manassas, Alan Munchnick, also with the Virginia Bicycling Federation, to be followed by Rob Whitfield.
Good evening. I'm Alan Muchnick, a City of Manassas resident and a longtime board member of the advocacy groups Active Prince William and the Virginia Bicycling Federation. For more than 7 decades, our region has repeatedly expanded major roadways in a futile quest to fix traffic congestion. The result is a fiscally and environmentally unsustainable highway network, dysfunctional and ugly suburban sprawl, and inequitable and life-threatening mobility challenges, especially for households without multiple personal vehicles. It's time for Virginia's transportation agencies to embrace the 3 guiding principles for transportation infrastructure investment articulated by the national advocacy group Transportation for America. Number 1, design for safety over speed. Number 2, fix it first. And 3, invest in the rest. Designing for safety over speed is essential to reduce Virginia's unacceptable epidemic of traffic violence. In 2023, Virginia traffic crashes killed 907 people, including 133 pedestrians, and injured nearly 60,000 people, including nearly 1,700 pedestrians. It's past time to aggressively retrofit all of Northern Virginia's multi-lane commercial arterial roadways to establish more survivable design speeds as part of a comprehensive Vision Zero strategy. Fixing our mobility infrastructure requires much better maintenance of Virginia's pedestrian and bicycle facilities. VDOT's 2004 policy for integrating bicycle and pedestrian accommodations states, in part, VDOT will maintain bicycle and pedestrian accommodations as necessary for sidewalks, shared use paths, and bicycle paths built within the department right-of-way, built to department standards and accepted for maintenance. VDOT will maintain these bicycle and pedestrian accommodations through replacement and repair. However, VDOT still performs little maintenance and repair of its shared use paths and sidewalks, except in response to reported complaints. After construction, the pavement is left to deteriorate for decades and is fixed only after repeated complaints. VDOT still has no annual budget or established policies and procedures to adequately and proactively assess and maintain its active mobility assets. Thank you for this opportunity to comment, and we urge VDOT to better support active mobility in the years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alan. Next, we'll hear from Rod Whitfield from the Fairfax County Taxpayer Alliance, to be followed by Mark Scheifler.
So good evening, panel. I'm Rob Whitfield, and I've lived in Fairfax County since 1977. And I have the distinction of probably being at more transportation meetings in the last 40 years than anybody else in this room. I was a member of the board of the Committee for Dulles for almost 20 years until I opposed tolls on the Dulles Toll Road in 2009. We have a population of about 2.5 million in Northern Virginia, of which only 500,000 live inside the Capital Beltway. 2 million live outside the Capital Beltway, and 80% of our population and employment growth has been occurring outside the Capital Beltway during the last 30, 40 years. Right now, we are not represented, the people who live outside the Beltway are not represented on the Commonwealth Transportation Board in a proper manner. We have urban members and we have rural members. And Shannon Valentine, when I raised this idea in 2019, she understood exactly my point of view, and yet our General Assembly members have done nothing to reform that situation. So I don't sound like that. For highway projects of $100 million or more, they require an annual financial plan, but no such financial plan requirement exists for major rail and transit projects. Thus, it was that the Dulles Rail project, with which I spent 10 plus years of my life commenting on, that it ended up costing well over twice its projected cost. So we need to have the same kind of guardrails for transit and rail projects, especially the VPRA's Richmond to Washington high-speed project, which we still don't know the ultimate cost. Right now, the phase one projects are about $4 billion. And so we've got to get a much more structured financial picture for transit and rail. And obviously, WMATA is a disaster area. I have been sending emails to Shep Miller and the governor in the last several years, and I don't get any responses. And so the SJ28 committee people have come up with a bunch of ideas for new taxes, but they really don't know how they're going to solve the ridership and revenue picture. And so we have many areas. Come to Fairfax County and highway projects. I lived for 25 years in Reston, and in 1996, the Reston Town Center underpass was proposed. 1996. Here we are, it's the end of 2024. I do see that it's one of 10 projects proposed in the Smart Scale Round 6. I haven't seen any of the details, I just saw that tonight. But to show you how the ranking of projects, something's very screwy in your priority system, because the Soapstone Overpass, which has now gone from 80 million, 90 million to 235 million or more, that will more dump people in residential areas of Reston. So I favor the town center underpass, and then improvements to the Sunrise Valley Drive to the County Parkway, and then the widening of the County Parkway down to Route 50, which has been planned for 20 years, and again, nothing has happened. So we need to get access to some of this IIJA, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act funding, which is, we may have a couple of years depending on what the Trump administration does, but we need to get the County Parkway widened north of Route 50 to the toll road. And we need to get on with it and stop screwing around and working on bike trails. Do you know that the bike trail plan for Fairfax County is projected to cost over $1 billion? Have you seen that anywhere? No, of course not. They don't talk about it. And so similarly, Fairfax County has done a lousy job in the last few years of promoting its transportation project priority update process. I don't know when they're going to get around to doing it, but they better go and start soon, because we're going to run out of federal money in the next 2 years. So I've worked all over this region. Andy Beecher was Loudoun County's transportation guy when they did the rail extension, and so I know people like oh gosh, who's back here for the VRE? Sorry, I've forgotten his name. Rich Dalton. I mean, I get along with people, but I'm a fact-driven person, and so yes, we've got some elaborate proposals, but we need to have cost-effectiveness and financial feasibility as a primary criterion.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Whitfield. Next, Mark Scheifler, to be followed by Russell Bailey. Mark is from Active Prince William.
Thank you for the opportunity. All right, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm Mark Scheifler. I'm a Prince William County resident and 16-year VRE rider. I'm also a member, a co-chair of Active Prince William. With the recent purchase of the Manassas Line and the planned completion of the Long Bridge in 2030, I strongly recommend VRE, the region, and state partner to support adding second platforms to the Manassas Park, Burke Center, Rolling Road, and Backlick Road stations in the near-term capital improvement plan. This will allow the Manassas Line to move to an all-day, all-week clock face schedule with a few commuter slots during the peak-of-peak timeframes. The schedule, along with 4 to 5 Amtrak trains per day, will significantly increase ridership and lower capital costs due to the reduced train equipment needs that a high peak-of-peak commuter schedule requires. More VRE service is vital for the region to take advantage of the VRE's multi-billion-dollar investment in the corridor and make better use of VRE equipment that already carries a high fixed cost regardless of the amount of service provided. I-95 and I-66 are not getting any wider for the next 50 years. VRE has the greatest ability to add significant mobility capacity in the region. The Boston, or MBTA, is an example of a rail system that reworked their schedule to better serve the traveling public in the middle of the day and evening and weekends, with the goal of transforming the service from commuter rail to regional rail. Their rail ridership is near pre-pandemic levels, while VRE is still at 40%. Existing plans do not go far enough to handle service interruptions with high-frequency schedule, especially with Amtrak and freight trains mixed in. As a regular rider, service disruptions are a major hindrance when using the system. I strongly recommend a second platform project be submitted for future MBTA regional funding. But most importantly, transportation agencies need to work with localities and state to integrate projects such as the second platform project and all-day service with land use changes to increase mixed-use residential density adjacent to stations to draw more ridership. This is especially important in Fairfax County. This only works if all-day service is planned. We have a major housing shortage in the region. Planned housing adjacent to high-capacity transit is a solution. With the completion of the ICD-6 and I-95 Express Lane project, competitive bus schedules during peak periods will limit future growth in sub-segments of the catchment area. We need to start planning land use density improvements next to stations and the second platforms now to support high-frequency service on the Manassas line to begin when the Long Bridge opens. Thank you for sitting this testimony.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you. And our next speaker is Russ Bailey from Alexandria and the Northridge Citizens Association.
Good evening. I'm Russ Bailey, and my comments are going to be about...
Turn that toward your... Just rotate it. There we go.
Better here? Yes. Okay, thank you. Good evening. I'm Russ Bailey. I'm representing the Northridge Citizens Association, and my comments are on Alexandria's grant proposal for the King Bradley project. And Northridge Citizens Association is a neighborhood of 2,800 homes and 5,000 residents. The neighborhood is immediately adjacent to the project that I'm going to be talking about, and our residents are major users of the Bradley Shopping Center. Northridge supports the approval of grant money for the water management elements of this application. They are much needed, and depending on how they're designed, I think they're going to be very much welcomed. Applying VDOT's grant criteria to the other elements of the application, we believe those elements should not receive funding. Safety. Other speakers have spoken about safety, the safety criterion. Congestion. The access road now works quite well, and in moving traffic in and out of Bradley. But the proposed reconfiguration of the access road would likely increase rather than decrease congestion. The redesign would reduce the number of exits for eastbound traffic from 4 to 2, and hundreds, likely thousands of vehicles will have longer exits from the center as traffic converges at the Taylor Street entrance. The backups would also be increased by the elimination of a very important slip lane onto King Street in front of the Safeway, which will require the approximate rerouting of 1,000 vehicles a day back to the Taylor Street or Marley Lane entrances. During the City Council's review of the proposed redesign, the city staff said that approximately 20 cars an hour use a slip lane. That number is undoubtedly dramatically low. A brief 1/2 hour exit during a non-peak half hour last Monday between 1:40 and 2:10 showed that 64 vehicles and 4 buses used the exit during that 1/2 hour, and that was a non-peak half hour as opposed to peak hour. Basically, the city's underestimating the amount of traffic through there by at least 600%. Basically, their estimate, our number is six times the number that they had, and the difference is actually going out there and looking at it rather than just making an estimate. Accessibility. The stated desire to improve the access to Bradley is focused on increased access for bike riders. Again, data is important. A survey of 3 hours of peak traffic time earlier this year showed that more than approximately 450 vehicles an hour entered Bradley from King Street, and zero bicyclists. Obviously, there's some people who do ride into and out of Bradley, but that number is very, very few. Not surprisingly, because Bradley is at the far western edge of Alexandria, and it's not a recreational or tourist destination. And cyclists have access to Bradley via the Braddock Road and streets in Fairlington. There's also the reality that the current congestion at the King Quaker intersection was going to mean that any bike lane that's built in front of Bradley will not be able to connect to other eastbound lanes in the city. So cost benefit. The basic question is whether it's a cost benefit matter. VDOT should spend grant money on the road reconfigurations and the bike lanes, and we believe that it should not. Both projects will cost several million dollars, yet appear to provide only speculative benefits. There's little safety improvement or additional use to be realized. On the other hand, each day, thousands of Bradley users will find themselves inconvenienced by the reconstruction of the road system. So we asked VDOT to fund the water management, but not the other components of the application. And thank you very much for allowing us to appear here before you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That concludes the number of speakers that have signed up for tonight. I do want to extend an opportunity if you would like to speak and have not already spoken tonight. Is there anyone in the room that would like to have 3 minutes that has not already spoken? All right, seeing and hearing none. I want to thank everybody who took the time to be engaged with us tonight. We really appreciate it, including those online who are listening and watching. I want to thank all of our panel members, our elected officials, other leaders who are looking forward to continuous improvement in different modes that we're able to provide through these various agencies. So thank you very much. Our team will remain for a while in the hallway, able to engage one-on-one, or have closer, more detailed discussions with you. Thanks again, everybody. Appreciate it, and good night.